too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581.
Attention all business owners and creative minds. Do you need a unique and personalized touch for your products? Look no further than Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs. We offer custom laser engraving services for a variety of products, including promotional items and corporate or personal gifts. With state-of-the-art equipment and a team of skilled designers, we can engrave intricate designs on virtually any material. Whether it's a special message, a company logo, or a custom design, Romika Laser Engraving will help you make your mark. And the best part, our prices are affordable and our turnaround time is quick.
I couldn't be happier with the work Romika Laser Engraving did for me. The engraving on my product was precise and exactly what I wanted.
So don't wait any longer to add a personal touch to your products. Call Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs today at 817-400-4040 or visit our website at romikadesigns.com. We look forward to helping you make your mark.
Hey, travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now to learn more.
800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. That's 800-240-4587.
Welcome to Crime Time with Brittani and Renae on MTX Radio. Into the world of unsolved true crime cases. Join us as we seek to uncover hidden truths, bring light to darkness, and seek justice for those forgotten.
Hey guys, we're back. Welcome back to Crime Time with Brittani
and Renae.
Oh my gosh. Every time that the intro song is on, I want to dance.
Yeah, well, it's a good song. And that voice of John's is amazing. Yeah. So there's that. He's got the voice for true crime.
Yeah, he has the voice for a lot of like radio stuff for sure.
Yes, he does.
Hi guys. Hi Elena. Hi, welcome
Hey
in.
Gary. Hey everybody. Thank y'all for joining us.
Yes, absolutely. So exciting. Yes. Before we get into what we're going to talk about today, I'm just going to read a quick disclaimer. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. We do not claim to be law enforcement professionals, nor are we conducting active investigations. The information shared is based on publicly available sources and should not be taken as factual or definitive. We encourage listeners to seek out our official sources for accurate and updated information. And everything we say is alleged.
Absolutely.
Now let's get on to talking crap.
Apparently, Brittany has an agenda for us.
Well, I mean, isn't true crime a little bit of just like gossip and stuff?
Yeah, it is.
Look, you know.
It is. And we are very excited to be a part of something that, is meaningful and trying to get justice.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the name of justice.
Absolutely. And also, we get to talk crap about people. That's my favorite part. I'm just joking. They're like, what is Brittany in it for?
She's like, wait,
I'm in it for the gossip. I'm in it for the tea. I want the tea.
Oh, well, we had tea last week. You missed the tea, but that's okay. We have more coming
Sorry, guys.
She's back for the tea.
I'm back for the tea.
Yes. Okay. So I'm happy everybody's here. Thank y'all for joining us. Welcome to another episode of Crime Time with Brittany and Renae. We are so glad you're here with us tonight for part 2 of a very special and emotional deep dive into the 1977 unsolved murder of 8-year-old Renae Freer. Last week, you met Norm, someone with a unique and powerful perspective. His late brother, Jim, was a police officer who worked Renae's case all those years ago. Though Jim has since passed away, Norm is helping us see this case through his brother's eyes, sharing what Jim saw, what he suspected, and how deeply this case stayed with him over the years. Tonight, in the first half, Norm will continue telling Jim's story. Then in the second half, he'll be answering questions from you, our listeners, and expanding on what we all still want to know. So grab your coffee, your curiosity, and your compassion, because it is crime time and we're not letting Renae be forgotten.
Oh, I loved that.
Yeah. So welcome, Norm.
Hi, Norm.
All right. Norm's not here yet. Where's Norm?
I want to say, though, I just really quickly, I think it's so cool that we actually have this information that we can share to the public. Like, how many cases do we cover, or how many cases do you hear about where we get to have an inside look at a perspective of this case?
Absolutely.
And someone's, and
these ladies
willing to provide
that are so dedicated.
Yeah.
They're so dedicated to finding justice. And after 48 years, that is so commendable.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, just peter out after, 5 years. And for these ladies to be doing this for all these years, I mean, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think people today are so desensitized from this kind of stuff. And the reality is like, this is an unsolved true crime case. This is someone that was murdered and there is no justice for their murder. And I think it's so important that people remember that, and we will never forget. Hashtag never forget.
Right.
Hi, guys. George says, I hope everyone is keeping cool.
Yes. It is nice and cool here, but not outside.
Dare I say it could be hotter. Famous last words. Okay, perfect. Norm says he's here, but he needs to have a microphone.
Oh, okay.
Hashtag never forget. Look at that. It's already trending.
Absolutely.
And remember to drop an L in the comments if you're watching live. And then, of course, if you're going to be watching at the replay, drop an R in the comments and share.
And if this is your first time listening, please let us know where you're watching from, because we want to know where this is reaching to.
Yes, absolutely. Plus, we love to see all the people from different states. Hi, Norm.
Hang on, Norm. We're getting you.
We'll get you in there.
We're getting you. Hang on 1 second.
Actually, Gary, please, Norm, don't shout really loud, because these headphones, we're going to go deaf if that happens.
No yelling.
Just whisper.
No yelling.
No yelling. No yelling in the podcast.
We're getting you on, Norm. I didn't realize that. Hey, Corinne. Hey, Sasha.
Hi.
Hey, Cindy. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Elena. Hey, Kim. Thank you all for joining us. Hey, George. Hey, Vincent.
Yeah.
Wow, we got some new people on here. Amazing. And if you have just joined us, we're getting Norm on. We had just a little glitch. We're getting him fixed. It's probably something I did. But I will tell you this. I always blame it on me. I will tell you this. Share the live real quick so other people can see it. And if you know somebody who is into true crime or knows this case or lives in the area, please tag them. Okay. Yeah. So welcome, Norm, to the show.
Thank you very much for having me again.
Oh, you're welcome. Sorry about that. We just had a little thing there. Okay, so I explained to everybody that we had you on last week and that you had, given us some information about your brother who had worked the case. And so what are we going to cover today?
Correct. So what happened was Jim and I were going to write a book about 4 murders that happened in Monroe. One of them happened to be Renae's. And after he passed, of course, we could not do that because he was all the
I think we might have lost Norm.
Hang on, guys. We don't know what happened. Hang on.
Lying solely on documents because his recollection of everything wasn't as clear. So, but what I talked about mostly last week was the fact that there were too many witnesses that were either lying, people being inaccurate, and he didn't know whether it was people lying on purpose or they just did not, know. So, some were being deceptive. And what it came down to was during the investigation, number one, who was unaccounted for at that time, and number two, who was definitely lying or maybe covering up for somebody. So all they really knew was that Renae goes to her next door neighbors looking for her neighbor, a female, at 6:25 p.m.
Okay.
And at 6:30, she walks down the back stairs, and they know that this girl's older brother is the last person that sees her alive. And my brother thought that possibly in the time frame from 6:30 to 7:15 is the time frame where she's last seen and the murder happens. So there are 2 male suspects that he concentrated on, and one of them is seen at the bottom of Williams Drive at 6:30 by a father in the neighborhood.
Okay.
And his idea about the murder is that she did not enter the woods alone. Somebody went with her. He thought that there was probably a reason to go back there, and it was maybe one of the people who said, "I'll help you find such and such," who she came to the house to look for. And he thought possibly it was the older brother who said, "Listen, I'll help you find my sister. Follow me. Let's go back to the fort." And the fort was basically a structure back in the woods that the kids had built to hang out. And once this happens and the body is found and they start questioning people, one of the things that keeps my brother the eyes on this one person is this boy's stepmother lies and says he's home. And they find out he was not home. They know he did not leave during that time with the front door or the rear door. They think possibly he went out a window. And when a girl on Knapp Street lies to the police and also says, well, he was here, there's no way he could possibly be home or on Knapp Street, because Knapp Street is a good 20-minute walk through the woods. So where was he? And why are people lying?
Right.
So the triangle that my brother came up with, and probably the other police as well, there is a possibility that this girl that Renae was looking for might have been with one of the other people that was a suspect. And that leaves Renae with the other suspect going in the woods looking for the sister. And at that time, the police knew from investigations that the kids were probably at that age, maybe playing doctor, go in the woods, playing, you show me yours, I'll show you mine type of thing.
Right.
And that the 2 suspects were what my brothers used the term hypersexual. And so he had thought that this was definitely not a planned murder. He thought it was possibly somebody going out there, and it got to the point where maybe Renae got scared. Maybe there was touching involved, which she didn't like. which before it might have been just show me yours, I'll show you mine, where now it's, the touching is freaking her out, and maybe she screamed, tried to run away. And that's the point where the person who murdered her takes a rock and she gets hit in the face, and she gets hit twice. And after that, her body is dragged, possibly to be hidden somewhere, but it's definitely spontaneous and possibly for attention or possibly sex. But either way, she's not hidden very well. And my brother's theory is that the way she was positioned when she was dragged in the woods and left, it didn't look like somebody left her there who cared about her. Like if you say, we were talking about, maybe if you remember, Katniss takes care of Rue in the Hunger Games after she's killed and she puts flowers around her. The person who did this and left her there, it didn't look like they cared about her at all. She was just laid out in the woods.
That's horrible.
So the question he had was, does he drag her or carry her to the new place because he wants to hide her? And then all of a sudden they find out they have blood on themselves from the second hit from the rock, because he didn't think the first hit would probably produce enough blood, but maybe the second hit would have had some splatter and ended up on their clothing. And at this point, they find her in the woods, and that's when everybody starts the investigation, where what happened, who's involved, and the window of the murder doesn't match up with the time they find her later on at night. She was in the woods for probably several hours before they did find her body. And ever since then, it's been driving the Monroe Police Department crazy, and my brother and the other detectives, because they wanted to find out who did this so they could not possibly put them behind bars, because both their suspects were underage at the time, which is under the age of 16. So they probably wouldn't even be, after they're arrested, probably spend any time in jail. They just wanted closure, and that was it.
Wow. The description of what happened to her, I've heard it numerous times. I've read it, and it never gets easy. She was 8.
Yeah.
I don't understand how anybody can kill anyone but an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
You are truly evil.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't even have words. Okay, so they're chasing down the leads. They're trying to figure out what happened to her. They're talking to people like, how many?
Did I lose you?
Are you there?
Oh,
sorry, I was talking. Can you hear me?
Talking to ourselves.
Hello.
Hello.
We seem to have a bad connection.
Oh no.
Yeah, not good.
There's so many questions in the chat.
I know.
It's crazy.
Norm, can you hear us?
Hello. Hello. Yeah,
Norm, can you hear us?
Are you there? Hello. Also, trigger warning, we did discuss sexual assault.
Did I lose you guys?
There you are. Can you hear us now?
Just want to make that statement.
Norm?
Hello?
Norm, can you call, maybe we could have him call the call-in line for the rest of the, we have 12 minutes left. He can call in and maybe we can hear him there. I don't know if that would help, but just an idea.
Hello?
I can hear some clicking, but I'm not hearing him at all.
Yeah. Hello? Are we muted? Can you guys hear us? Can you let us know in the comments if you can hear us?
Yeah, I think they can hear us. I think we just can't hear him. He's got I think he has a bad signal.
Yeah.
He
Huh.
I think he has a bad signal. It's the only thing I can think of.
Okay.
They can hear us. Yeah, they can hear us. Okay. Well, okay. So until we get that figured out, hey, Tawny. Hey, Pat. Hey, Gary. Hey, Jennifer. Thank y'all for joining us.
Yeah.
Also, if you can put in the comments justice for Renae, that would be amazing while we're waiting to figure out what we can do with about Norm losing a signal here. So, hey, Marty. Hey, Julie. Hey, Mary. Thank y'all for joining us. We appreciate you being here. And sorry for the technical problem, but we're fixing it. So, I mean, the description of her being murdered like that is absolutely horrific.
Yeah.
And to know that a juvenile could do this really concerns me. Like, what kind of person is this?
Yeah. And I think it's interesting that Norm stated that, like, they probably wouldn't have gotten that much time because they were under the age of 16 or 18, as Alina has clarified. But either way, I feel like it was just, and I'm confused. I hope he specifies. Are we speculating that this was 2 people?
Well, it's back and forth. We're not sure, but it's possible. Hey, Cindy. Yeah, it's very possible that it's 2 people. But here's my thing. This person was young.
Yeah.
Were they able to move her body? And I understand, I guess it's possible.
Yeah.
Depending on how big the kid was. I mean, some kids are, the size of a man. So I don't know his size.
Well,
but,
if you're 16 years old and the kid is 8, that's probably a pretty easy move.
Right.
I would just, I mean, I'm going to say it. I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, all around just horrific. I mean, it is we're very like fortunate that we get to hear this information, but it is very jarring to also have to hear about and relay. So yeah.
Yeah, it's
Gary said, I want a cheeseburger. Me too, Gary.
We do too. We have to wait till we get done on Tuesdays to eat. So we're right there with
But you know what's a good burger place?
What's it called?
I can't remember. Griff's? No.
Grumps. Yeah, it's very good.
So good.
Yeah. So while we're giving them, here we go, y'all.
Okay.
Hello. Hang on.
Hello. Oh no.
Let me call you back. I don't know what to do. She has just.
I'm sure you did, Gary. I'm sure you sent it to the wrong person. That's okay though. We all like cheeseburgers.
Okay, so we're still trying to figure out how to get him back on, but okay, let's see what people are saying. Jennifer said, please remember that in some states, kids at the age of 8 know right and wrong and can be held as a juvenile offender. Absolutely true, Jennifer. I actually looked it up, and even in 1977, they still would have paid for it because it was murder. I think that does kind of happen if you, for instance, don't have just commit like a misdemeanor or maybe even a like theft or something like that. But murder, I think you still.
But I think what he was saying, if it was just attempted sexual assault and there was no murder involved, it would have been a lower sentence.
Well, of course.
But they decided to, from the speculation, this is all speculation, and we're just,
right.
But the reality is it probably wouldn't have been as bad. But isn't that the case with most murder cases? It's always like, oh, well, they did this to hide the body, or they did this and kept it in their fridge for a couple of days. Why? Like, didn't we learn this in grade school?
Yeah.
Just tell the truth.
People like that don't have the
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yay.
Okay. For some reason, I was being muted.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I think we have some kind of bad connection because I haven't touched anything. But we're glad you're back. Okay, so go back to what we were talking about.
Okay, so what was the last thing you heard from me?
I remember you talking about the police and how the police were looking at this case about him being a juvenile.
Okay, yep. So they knew that because of this, even if they did arrest them, they probably would not have done any time, even after the fact, because they were juveniles.
Yeah, that's so weird to me though, because I mean, in the states that I've looked up, you still going to pay for a crime. You may not do life in prison or whatever, but you're still going to juvenile and you're going to go to prison for a while. But
they could have gone to juvenile prison, but they would not have probably been tried as an adult.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And they wouldn't today if they came forward either.
I looked up the statutes on that, and I'm gonna have to get some research done on that because it says that they would still go to prison. So I'm really gonna have to do some reading on that because That's really
Well, maybe we should
sad.
tell them that they're not going to go to prison if you confess. And
Well, they're going somewhere.
Whatever happens, happens.
There's going to be some kind of justice for this.
We have no real claim.
So sad. Okay, so at this point, they basically feel like they at this point they've talked to a lot of different juveniles, correct? And
Correct.
there was only 2 people that didn't, pass the alibi.
They narrowed it down to 2.
Okay, gotcha.
And there were several different scenarios. It could be that she went next door and the older brother did take her out in the woods and he did this all alone. There was the other scenario where it's possible that the brother takes Renae out and they actually do see the sister. And at one point it gets out of hand, and it could be that the brother does maybe hit her first and then tell the sister, hey, listen, you're involved now. You have to finish her off because you're in just as much trouble as me. Or it could be that they walked up on the other suspect and the sister together, and then it could be the combination of all 3 of them.
Yeah. Okay, so he didn't think that it was possible that it was one person. He definitely thought it was the work of 2 people.
He thought it could be the neighbor next door by himself. And then the second scenario was the person next door with the younger sister, and they're both involved. And then the combination of the 3.
Okay, gotcha. What do you mean the 3?
The other suspect was involved.
Yeah. When he was saying that the sister and the brother and a person came upon.
Oh, and then somebody else? So you're saying maybe 3?
It could be.
Oh, is the third one a male or a female?
2 males, 1 female. So it would be the sister next door and the male next door. And then the other suspect that was seen down at the bottom of Williams Drive at 6:30.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, interesting. Now I've never heard the 3 people. That's a new one to me. So, interesting. Okay, so we have about 3 minutes left. We have a couple of questions. We'll just go ahead and do these couple of questions since we only have 3 minutes. Let's see. So Elena says, so 1, 2, or 3 people, and I guess it could be any of those.
Yeah. We can scroll to the
Could
top
be, because it could be a combination of them too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Were any of the suspects into any kind of animal mutilations of any kind that you know of?
Of the notes that I read that were Jim's, I did not see anything like that.
Say that again. I'm sorry, it was cutting out.
Of the notes that I remember he had, I don't remember ever him saying that any of the 2 suspects had any type of, evidence that they ever did anything to animals.
Okay. All right, let's see. This one says, would they start off as getting charged as a juvenile?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I just want to say this. We've had some really bad issues with internet lately. In our area, a whole bunch of people cut a bunch of internet lines, and I've never had this bad of a signal before, but our signal's bad, and I apologize to anybody listening. Can you hear us, Norm?
Oh, I can hear you perfectly.
Oh, okay. I'm glad, because it's bad on this end. No. George asked, did they ever clear any of them?
They did. There was one suspect that they had in the beginning. A lot of people tried to blame it on this boy in the area, and he had an alibi, and they thought it might have been him just because he was partially a special needs child.
I don't know, Norm. We're having the hardest time hearing you.
They are having a hard time.
But it sounds like you said that person was cleared after a lot of people blamed it on them. And the person that was cleared is not a part of the 3 that was speculated. Is that correct?
Correct. They were cleared very soon after the murder.
Okay, got it. I would be curious to hear what the parents' reaction was to the kid that was sneaking out of the window. Like, what did the child look at coming back? I think there was actually a question in the comments about that. Because you can hide emotionally, but you can't hide something that's happened to you physically, right?
Right. We have about 50 seconds left. So in the second half, we're going to be taking calls. So if anybody has a question for Norm, please call us. And the number is 817-637-2585 if you want to call in and ask him any questions, or you can ask in the comments. We'll read it and then he can answer. So this case is so intriguing. Yeah, we do have a very bad connection. I apologize, y'all. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on.
We're doing our best to share the information as much as we can.
All right, guys. We will see y'all shortly.
We'll see you after the break. Bye, guys.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have lost your provider, or if you need a provider for diabetic supplies, you may qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details. Just takes a couple of minutes. Our friendly, knowledgeable agents will give you free, no-obligation information, handle all the insurance paperwork, and make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. Call right now. 800-597-9323.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't on speakerphone before. That's why, and when I looked down, it was muted.
Hey guys, we are back.
Is Mercury in retrograde?
I don't know.
Because technology is just.
All right, Norm, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. Can everybody hear Norm?
Oh my gosh. Can everybody hear Norm? Can you guys please let us know in the comments? Norm, sing him a song or something.
Okay. All right. So the very last thing that we talked about, can we say that again? You were talking and it was cutting out so bad. What were we saying, Brittany?
So it was the conversation. So I think everybody heard that there was speculation of one person, two people, or three. And then the conversation about one of the people or one of the suspects actually being cleared. And we didn't quite hear the information on that. So if you don't mind
repeating
that.
Sure. Yep. There was one boy in the neighborhood who was special needs, who some people started to blame it on because he was special needs. But he was cleared because he had a solid alibi. He was not in the area at the time.
Okay. Awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
And then about the three people, you said it was possible that it was two males and one female, correct?
Correct.
Okay, possible.
One couple's brother and sister, the other one's not related at all.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, if they can put them in the comments, we're going to ask Norm the questions. Scroll down, and I'm going to go ahead and ask him some that's on there now. Scroll up, whatever. Yeah.
No worries.
Because I know there was already some questions.
Yes, there was.
Because this is so much better. We can hear you good, so we'll just do it this way.
Let's see here.
All right. How about that one? No, go down. It must have been. Yeah, it's really sad that that this person. Well, first of all, does he think that people lied for him or them? Did he?
Almost definitely.
Okay. Like the parents or other people, or maybe both?
The stepmother of one of the boys, definitely. And they knew she was lying because she said he was at home and he was not.
And how did they know he wasn't home?
Well, other people started to say that he was outside the house. One girl who was over on another street said that he was there, but then she was also lying. So the thing is that the parents can't prove that he was home.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, got it.
So they were trying to say, "Oh no, he was here. He didn't do anything." Okay, gotcha.
Was it confirmed that the older brother was the last person to see her live?
Yes, the next door neighbor, 6:30.
Well, there's your answer.
Wait a
guys.
minute. Hang on, I'm confused.
He was the last person to see her live at 6:30. The older brother.
But you said the neighbor confirmed it?
The police confirmed it, that he was the last person to see, because she went over the house to look for the sister. Mm-hmm. And once she left, she came down their back stairs. And so that was the last place she was seen. And he was the last person to see her come down the stairs.
Okay. So Pat asked, go back up. Pat asked, go back up. Not so fast, Brittany. Go back down.
Okay.
Pat asked, was he the one that burnt the clothes?
No.
Oh,
right.
That's what gave them two suspects. But the person who ended up burning the clothes would not tell them whose clothes they were. And that's why my brother thought he might have taken the clothes or the shirt from the neighbor and took it home and burnt it.
Okay.
And
so are you saying that the one that has the sister was not the one that burnt the clothes?
Correct.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay. So so it seems like if a person is willing to burn clothes that apparently someone had that had blood on them, then they were definitely involved.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to come to somebody and go, "Hey, by the way, I just killed somebody and I need you to go burn these clothes," and they're going to go, "Okay, sure."
Unless they were paid.
They might have, because a lot of people in the neighborhood were very afraid of this person because he was a bully. He was a strong kid, and he was known to be violent. He ended up really beating up one of the neighbors badly until parents intervened. So they think that possibly he asked him to do him a favor and said, "You need to burn this for me," and he did not maybe say no.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible. And do we know who the kid is that he beat up?
He was a neighbor. Yeah.
Was this the story about the bus? The bus.
She got off the bus. Correct. That's correct.
I've heard that story. Okay, gotcha. Okay, interesting. All right. So at this point, they're working the case. They've got these suspects. What happens then? They just keep bringing them in and questioning them. What happens then?
They questioned people all over the neighborhood. So they were not only on Williams Drive, they went down Hattertown Road, they went to Guinea Road, they went to Pastor's Walk, and they went to all these different areas questioning people. So when people do say that the police did not do their due diligence to find out who this was, that's very inaccurate. They ended up doing a lot of footwork.
Yeah.
A lot of footwork.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it sounds like they did. They really did. And how many do you remember how many kids or how many people not exactly, but how many people they interviewed on this
That
case?
I do not remember from my brother's notes, but it was a lot of people.
Oh wow!
But every up and down the street was interviewed, and people in the neighborhood. So there was probably 20-something houses, and some of the houses had 5 people in it. So they probably asked a lot of questions to a lot of different adults.
Now here's a call coming in. I'm going to see if I can combine it. Hang on, okay? Hi, thank you for calling. Do you have a question for Norm? Hi, thank you for calling. Do you have a question for Norm?
No, I'm just listening.
Okay. All right, Norm. So tell me, he's interviewed these police officers have all interviewed lots and lots of kids, and basically everybody gets cleared but these three.
I wouldn't say people get cleared, but they definitely, some of the people in the neighborhood do have perfect alibis, and like they were home or they were with their parents or this, but the two suspects don't have a good alibi where they were, and it's unaccounted time, and they know that unaccounted time from 6:30 to 7:15 is possibly when Renae was killed.
Oh man,
wow.
So what do you think it's going to take to solve this case?
I think it's going to be a deathbed confession, or if somebody who is close to the family members has known this for a long time finally comes up and says, this is what happened and this is why my parents covered it up, or this is why we did this. But I think there's a lot more than just three people that know what happened.
Right. Okay, so Pat asks, what is taking so long with the DNA? And that is a great question because I'm confused. This is 48 years old now. This is 48 years unsolved. What is the deal with the DNA?
My guess is possibly what's under her fingernails, or possibly could there be some saliva left over from the bite mark on her chest?
I mean, you really think it's taken that long to test?
I don't think that maybe the state police has made it a priority, or the FBI, because it's been so long.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They probably got bigger fish to fry. Maybe that's possibly what they think.
Do you know when was the last time that they put this in for testing?
I do not have that information.
Okay. I was just curious. Okay, so
Matt asked, what was the sister's alibi?
Good question, Matt.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Don't know that either.
Oh.
But I bet if the parents lied for the older brother, they probably lied for her.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Elena said, wasn't there a graduation that night too?
Correct. It was 8th grade graduation for Chalk Hill Middle School, which was a school that they used. It was closed when the Sandy Hook shooting happened, and then the kids from Sandy Hook Elementary used that school temporarily.
Wow. Okay. And Gary asked, was the rock tested?
That I do not know, but if there was blood on it, I'm sure they probably took a sample, and it was probably mostly hers.
Yes, I agree. All right. Any other questions going up? Maybe? No.
The only question I have is, I know, and you'll have to repeat what you said earlier, but there was a question earlier about animal mutilations, and I know that you answered it, but we couldn't hear you. So could you just clarify if there was any history of that?
Sure. I'm sure they probably looked into that, because of course that was one of the things that the FBI has a list of things to look for anybody who could possibly be a murderer and do things like that. But I do not remember any of my brother's notes saying that happened. But I do know that the two people that they talked to, the person next door was definitely more violent than the person who's down the bottom of the street at 6:30.
Okay. Wow. Did your brother, I know we can't, but did your brother ever exclaim which way he was leaning as far as who he thought committed the crime?
He narrowed it down to the two boys, with possibly the sister helping out in some way, but that's all he could come up with. But he always narrowed it down to one of the boys more than the other, and that's the next door neighbor.
Got it. Gotcha. Wow.
Okay, Matt says, so there was a limited amount of kids around that night when Renae was murdered. And I know that's not a question, but I just thought I would ask you if you could confirm that, or.
A lot of kids in the neighborhood were at the 8th grade graduation. That is true.
Okay, that makes sense.
George
Right.
These two boys were not.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh,
makes sense.
Yeah. George asked, were the neighbors part of the search for Renae?
At the beginning, yes, but they weren't allowed to go into the woods after the police and the volunteer firemen got there.
Gary asked, was there a police dog? And I think I know the answer to that question, but I'm going to let you answer it because you know way more than I do.
That's funny because that's not something that was in my brother's notes, so I do not know that whether there was a dog used or not.
I just think I know the answer because of the fact that I saw it in a newspaper article, and I don't know if the dog was named or whatever, but I just saw where they had a canine there for, whatever reason to.
It could be possible, but the dog did not find her.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I think they were using it to find her scent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that you
Could
talked
be.
about that on the very first episode. Okay, Pat said, when was the time they were all questioned?
It was probably the next day because her body was taken by ambulance out of there late, and most of the kids were ready for the last day of school. So they were probably inside their houses ready to be going to bed and getting ready for the next day because that was the last day of school in Monroe that year.
Somebody go back up to Cindy's. Somebody.
It says so many neighbors in the street.
Looking and waiting.
Looking and waiting. I'm sorry, guys. I still have one contact from the very first episode where the neighbors from next door seen outside looking also.
Oh, good question, Cindy.
Good point. I do not think they were.
Okay.
Well,
Matt says, could they question the lead suspect again now that his stepmom or mom wasn't there to comfort him?
Great question, and it has happened. And actually, this is when my brother thought that there was some problems with the investigation because he had thought at some point that there was somebody in the police department either leaking information or it was getting to maybe their son or daughter, and then they were leaking the information, maybe them sitting at home talking about it, and then the kids overhearing it because there was too much stuff that was being leaked. But one of the things that did bother my brother fiercely was there was a later on talk with that suspect, and they all the detectives and all the police that got together agreed they were going to do it a specific way. And then when it came to the day to do it, the lead investigator did it exactly opposite of what they wanted to do. But there was only two people there to question him. There wasn't everybody there. So it was just that one person who my brother thought really screwed up.
Wow.
Man, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. So
that happens a lot.
So
in small
it's like
towns,
we're
though.
saying, we're going to do this, 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 and this. We're going to do 1 through number 30. And they went 1 to 7 to 19, back to 2 and stuff like that. They just didn't do it the way they were supposed to do it. And it was very frustrating because it was talked about for so long that they wanted it to be precise and it wasn't done correctly.
That seems to be the case with a lot of cases, and that's why they don't get solved.
Yeah, that's sad, and that it frustrates me because I understand that they don't have the experience, and that's a good thing. You live in a small town, a safe area, you don't have a lot of murders. That's absolutely wonderful. But if you are not the most seasoned person on the force, you shouldn't be the one leading the investigation.
Yeah. Elena asked, so he screwed up on purpose? And I think that is a good question.
Oh, yeah.
That is a great question. And he doesn't know whether he did it on purpose or not because he thought there's nobody who could have messed this up that way without almost doing it on purpose.
Oh, so
maybe were they covering for somebody or helping somebody out? And that's one of the questions he had.
Yeah. Colleen says there's no way we can re-question these guys again at all. I think there is.
Sure you can. You can question them.
Yeah.
You have to just have them come in and talk to them or go to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Hopefully we get enough traction on the case that way the police force has no choice but to re-look into the case. And obviously that's what's going to get this case solved.
This detective that messed up that we're saying maybe did it on purpose or maybe didn't. Obviously he doesn't work there anymore because that was many years ago.
Nobody does. That was back then.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Okay.
Well, then a fresh new take.
Retired.
Yeah, absolutely.
Passed away.
Okay.
Both my brother, Steve Biley, and those guys they're all passed.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Matt says, I would think they need a reason to pull him in again for questioning. I don't know. Is that true? Do they have to have a reason or could it just be it's open and you were a suspect and we're going to continue talking to you?
Could always say no. I mean, they'd have to, have that person agree to it. If they don't want to talk to them ever again, they don't have to unless they have, I guess they can subpoena them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay.
Well,
any other questions? Scroll up because I saw several pop up at one time, like a lot. All right, guys, do you have any more questions for him? We still have about 10 minutes left. We have plenty of time to get him to answer some questions. Renee's case is 48 years. I know there are lots of cases out there that are like this, but just to be part of one that is so long ago and be able to kind of hear some inside information, not inside information, but hear it from a perspective of a police officer, from someone who knew your brother and knew kind of the way he was leaning towards and the things that he had to go through and just the whole story is just so interesting. And I just don't understand. I mean, golly, I don't get it. Okay.
And Eric's book also has about 12 different scenarios that he goes through, which he comes down to possibly his last one being the most, I would say, believable.
And who was this? I'm sorry.
This was Eric who wrote the book. Dead End Road.
He has how many scenarios?
12.
Oh, good gosh. Okay. Wow. All right. Kristen says, I don't want to hurt any family members' feelings, but I think this may be a possibility. Did Felicia have an affair? I can't read the rest of it.
With one of the fathers.
Oh, okay.
We talked about that last week. Yes, she did. She had an affair with one of the police officers, and they did waste time looking at him as a suspect. But like my brother said, that was going down the wrong road because there's no way that he did that because he had an alibi. He was not there either.
Right. Yeah. John Wasick said, did they look for fingerprints on the outside of the bedroom window of the neighbor? Ooh, good one.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Don't know that either.
Okay. Allison says, did the suspect stay in Monroe? Did they go to Mazik?
That we discussed last week. They did leave, and they actually left 3 days after the sister admitted to being part of the murder. She said it at a sleepover party, and when the parents brought her back to the house and said, your daughter just confessed to being part of the murder, 3 days later they moved. And they actually moved several times.
Wow.
Oh,
okay.
wow.
Why is this? Okay. Cindy says, why is this not considered a cold case? That is a good question. I agree. Is the MPD still getting good leads after 48 years?
I would say that the opinion on that would be, what do they think is good evidence and whether it's something they should pursue? That I don't know, and I doubt they'd ever tell us.
Yeah. And why is it not considered a cold case? And that's my question. I don't understand that. I mean, you could say all day, well, I, was looking over the case, so it's active. But I mean, isn't active actually like talking to people like yesterday? Not like
I'm sure that this is still active. I'm sure they're still, really working on this. I doubt they've given up on this.
I mean, I don't think they've given up on it. I'm just asking if they actually have something new to talk about, or are they talking to same, I know you don't know. I'm just kind of talking out loud, I guess.
I would hope they would think that maybe there's some new DNA evidence that can be possibly brought into it that they can use. That would be something very valuable to them. But whether they have that, I do not know.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Elena says that's majorly suspicious that they moved. Absolutely. And then Colleen says, so with her confessing, why wasn't that enough? That's a good question.
He was also under the age of 16, so they'd probably take the weight of that being, did she confess because she was the kind of kid who was jealous of Renae because Renae was the popular kid in the neighborhood? Did she, right. And did she say it because she just wanted attention? That's another thing they maybe asked and found out that maybe she didn't know enough about it, because if they actually questioned her, she would have to know specific things about the murder, and if she couldn't answer that, then they probably knew that she was not part of it and did it for attention.
Right.
Yeah. George said, did they question all the people that were there when the sister confessed?
That you would have to ask. It was a slumber party, a bunch of girls, so they would probably give you more insight on that than I have, because I only heard the story. I was not there, nor was it in my brother's notes.
Okay, not that far.
I don't know what question you're looking for.
It was like one up.
Okay, here. How about we do this? Make it easier.
Yeah, it's not easy for me. I'm broken. Okay, so I saw a question right here that we missed. Okay, Mary says, was the move planned when they left?
I would say not 3 days after your daughter confesses to murdering somebody, several months ago. I think they got up and left in a hurry. A lot of these people rented, so they could have probably just got up and left instead of having to worry about selling.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Marty says, why did this murder seem so hushed? It always seemed like no one had even heard of this if they weren't from the Stepney area or Monroe. Stepney area of Monroe. Sorry about that.
And that's what I said last week was because Monroe is split up into 3 sections for elementary schools. The only reason that I ever met Renae is because my sister was dating her neighbor across the street. And when I was playing with his sister playing kickball, Renae came over one day and joined us. And that's one of the only reasons I ever met her. So if you didn't play basketball, baseball, or did sports, or did something in the town where you would go and congregate at maybe a baseball field or something, you probably would not meet any of these kids in the neighborhoods across town until you went to Chalk Hill, which is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. It's just so sad. Well, we have about 3 minutes left, and it's been so great having you on twice. I mean, we learned a lot about how your brother Jim handled the case, and it sounds like it was really, really important to him. It sounds like he really put a lot into it, and I'm sad to know that he, wasn't able to write the book. But I'm glad you were able to shed some light on, his part in this case. And I hate that so many police officers weren't able to see justice. And I know that they cared about it. I know they did. I think that a lot of people will go to, it must have been a cover up or, whatever. And, you never know. You never know if that's, the truth or not, but nevertheless, it's frustrating to have a case this go this long without being solved. And hopefully maybe they consider it active because they're still working on the DNA, but nevertheless, I guess that's a possibility, right?
Dean, we might find out one day.
I hope so. I really do. Well, it's so good for everybody to be here. We appreciate you. We want to remind you that we do have for this particular case, there is a group called Who Killed Renae Freer. There's another case that's called Justice for Renae Freer. So if you haven't already joined those groups, please do so because we're going to keep talking about it. We also want to remind you to come to the vigil on June 26th at 7 p.m. on the Monroe Green. For Remembrance for Renae. So please join everybody there on the June 26th. That's in 2 days. That is on Thursday. And please join them for a vigil for Renae. We want to get this case solved. We want to get people talking about it. They're going to do the candlelight vigil and say some wonderful words for Renae. We also want to remind you that we do this show every Tuesday at 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're talking about the case. We want to continue. The best thing that you can do for us is share this video, comment, come to the groups, help us talk about it, keep talking about it, and let's just keep doing that until we get this done. We want to thank you, Norm, so much for being here, coming on here twice to talk to us about this case. We truly, truly appreciate you. If you're interested in coming on talking about this case, you knew Renae, you lived in the neighborhood, let us know. We will definitely get you in line for that. You don't have to be on. You can even remain anonymous. We also want to tell you about the Dateline article that has come out. Look up Dateline NBC on Facebook. You will find the article. And I think I've got everything.
Gary still wants a cheeseburger, guys.
I still want a cheeseburger too, Gary. We're
that
looking for you.
Was not sent on accident.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Norm.
so much,
We appreciate
Norm, for
you.
coming on.
And everybody keep sharing live and keep talking about Renae Freer because we're going to get justice for her, y'all. We're going to do
absolutely.
that. We're
Thank
going
you
to
guys
figure
so
this
much.
out.
Welcome. Thank you very much for having me
Have
on.
a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.